When the realtor handed them the keys, she said only one thing. No one has lived here for over 10 years. The house was empty. No furniture. No electricity. No signs of life. But on their first night inside, they heard someone walking upstairs. And the strangest part, the upstairs didn't exist. Story begins. In the spring of 2014, the Harris family was desperate for a new start. Mark and Elaine Harris had 2 young children and very little money. Rent prices were rising, jobs were uncertain, and eviction notices had started appearing on their door. So when a small countryside house appeared online for half the normal price, they didn't ask many questions. The listing was simple: 3 bedrooms, 2 floors, unoccupied for several years. No photos of the inside, but they didn't care. They needed somewhere to live. Fast. The house. The house sat alone at the edge of a quiet forest road. No neighbors nearby. No streetlights. No passing traffic. Just trees. And silence. The exterior looked old, but well kept. Fresh paint on the walls. New roof tiles. Recently trimmed grass. Which was strange, because abandoned houses usually don't maintain themselves. But Mark brushed it off. Probably the bank maintaining the property, he said. They unlocked the door and stepped inside. First unease. The inside was completely empty. No furniture. No decorations. No personal items. But everything was clean. Too clean. No dust. No cobwebs. No signs of decay. It looked like someone had moved out yesterday. Yet the realtor insisted no one had lived there for 10 years. Elaine noticed something odd immediately. All the doors inside the house were already open. Every bedroom. Every closet. Even the bathroom. As if someone had walked through the house before them, checking each room. First night. That night, the family slept in sleeping bags on the living room floor. The children fell asleep quickly. Mark and Elaine stayed awake longer, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of the forest outside. Wind through the trees, branches scraping the walls, distant animals, until they heard footsteps. Soft, slow, coming from above them. Mark froze. The house only had 1 floor. There was no upstairs. Yet the footsteps continued, pacing, back and forth, directly above the living room. Elaine whispered, "Mark, do you hear that?" He did, clear as day. Someone was walking, on a floor that did not exist. Searching the house. Mark grabbed a flashlight, slowly stood, and searched the entire house. Every room, every closet, every corner. Nothing. No attic. No second floor. No crawl space above the ceiling. The house physically could not support footsteps overhead. Yet when he returned to the living room, the pacing continued. Slower now. Heavier. Almost deliberate. As if whoever, or whatever, was up there, knew they were being listened to. Escalation. Over the next few nights, the sounds grew worse. Footsteps every night at exactly 2:17 a.m., always above the living room. Sometimes running, sometimes dragging, sometimes stopping directly over their heads, and standing still, listening. Then came the whispers, very faint, just beyond hearing. The children started waking up crying, saying they saw someone standing in the hallway at night, a tall shape, watching them sleep. Elaine began finding things moved. Shoes rearranged, cabinet doors left open, footprints in dust that had not been there before. Small barefoot footprints, but not from any of the family. They were too long, and too thin. The discovery. One afternoon, Mark decided to inspect the house more carefully. He measured the ceiling height, then compared it to the outside of the house. Something didn't match. The roofline suggested there should be a narrow space between the ceiling and the roof. But no attic entrance existed. No ladder, no hatch, nothing, until he noticed something strange. In the hallway ceiling, a faint square outline, almost invisible, painted over many times. He climbed a chair, pressed on it, and the panel shifted, revealing a hidden crawl space. Inside the space was narrow, dark, barely tall enough to crawl. Mark climbed inside with a flashlight. The air was warm, stale, and smelled faintly of sweat and something else, human. The space was not empty. There were blankets, old food wrappers, empty water bottles, and in the far corner, a small pile of clothing, children's clothing, but none that belonged to his kids. Then he saw the marks, deep scratches along the wooden beams, as if someone had been gripping the ceiling. directly above where the family slept. Every night, watching them, the truth. Police were called immediately. They searched the crawlspace thoroughly and found something worse. In a hidden section of the wall, they discovered a thin mattress, a bucket, and a crude calendar with dates marked for the last 6 months. Someone had been living inside the house, silently, without the family knowing, entering the space through an exterior vent hidden behind bushes, climbing above them every night, walking, watching, listening. The previous owner, police discovered, had been declared missing 8 years earlier, never found, and someone had simply moved in. Final twist, the family moved out that same day. The house was sealed and boarded. Weeks later, Mark received a call from the police. They had reviewed the crawlspace footage again and noticed something disturbing. There were fresh footprints leading out of the space, but none leading back in, meaning whoever had been living there was already gone before the police ever arrived. Because sometimes a house is not haunted by ghosts. Sometimes it's haunted by someone who never left.